always know who they were, and whether you're going down the street or to the convention, they're just talking and greeting you, and they were so happy to be there. And it just built you up to a point where you felt like exploding sometimes.
That sounds wonderful. And one of you friends, maybe you were already going to comment on this, but for instance, Sister Kling, what else do you have around your neck?
Well, I have the this that shows the delegate to the Honolulu convention, and
Nice.
my tag. And everybody got one of those too, and some just wore this. Some were a little shy about the orange, but they tried to wear them. But I wanted to tell you about the Lou crew.
That's good.
Okay, so we had a tour that we did that circled the island. The brothers and sisters knew ahead of time which rest stops we were going to stop at. Everybody in the bus were brothers and sisters. They went ahead of us to the rest stops, cleaned them, stocked them with soap, made sure we had cold water, and then would do a dance for us. And at one of them, they wrote a song for us and sang the song to us as a greeting. It was who besides Jehovah's Witnesses would care if the bathrooms were clean enough. So they went ahead of us. And one brother said he drove an hour to get there to help clean the bathrooms for us.
That's
That was
amazing.
amazing, yeah.
What hospitable friends. That's wonderful to hear. And maybe we could ask, thinking of the hospitality and experiences, maybe we could ask Arnold to relate something he enjoyed.
Yeah, my experience started right when I stepped off the airplane. The friends were there to meet us. My sister put this lei on my neck, and I reached out to shake her hand. She goes, "No, brother."
No.
I want to hug. And she goes, "You better get used to it because we like to hug around here." Them words proved true. The next morning, we were on a bus at 7 o'clock in the morning to meet at Assembly Hall for field service arrangements. And we pulled up in front of the Assembly Hall. There was 100 brothers and sisters out front, lined up all the way to the door from the curb, and you could not pass one up without hugging them, all the way down the line. I got a letter that I'd like to read just part of. It's from the Hawaiian Hospitality Committee. It said, "We're sure you look forward to experience the real beauty of the islands, our God-inspired spiritual paradise. To fulfill this desire, thousands of your brothers and sisters have been working tirelessly for many months to care for your needs and to arrange for the spiritual activities never before experienced on such a grand scale." And it brings out about these leis. They made over 6,500 of these, all made by hand for us. It was an experience that I'll never forget.
That's wonderful to hear. How nice. So, well, maybe we could ask Sister Joyce if there was a memorable experience you'd like to relate.
Well, it was my first, and I sure didn't know what to expect, but I do have a new appreciation for hospitality. Everything was over the top, but one thing I did get to be part of is after the convention was all over, we would walk around town in the evening times, and like one night we went and had dinner, and the proprietor of the restaurant came out after we paid our check, and it was a little lady, and she came out and she goes, "How long are you people gonna be here? You've been here for weeks." She goes, "I have never had such a good time and laughed so much and been so fully entertained." She goes, "I am gonna have a boring job after you guys leave." She goes, "I loved it." So I thought that was neat that the whole island was being witnessed to. The second lady that I incurred going down the sidewalk, she said she commented on my outfit. And she goes, "I have to tell you, I've been watching out my window of my home, and I've been watching all these people in their costumes and their dressing, and I was watching them go into the center where we had our convention." She goes, I was so curious because of all the dress and all the friendly, happy people and all the nationalities. I had to go see what it was about. She told me she went in and sat that day and watched the whole thing, and she just couldn't believe what she'd seen and heard, that she loved it. And she was giving me a hug. We're walking down the blocks of the street. She's telling me all her experiences. She's trying to teach me how to go where I can turn to get to the beach. She had to give me a hug. She goes, I just love you people. I wish you were here all the time. I thought that was pretty neat.
That's fantastic. Fantastic, Arnold.
There's a scripture that I wanted to share. It was found in Isaiah 24:15. It says, that is why they will glorify Jehovah in the region of the light. In the islands of the sea, they will glorify the name of Jehovah, the God of Israel.
Very fitting. Beautiful. And did you friends, were you able to enjoy some ministry with the local friends there too in the island? John, what do you remember you'd like to share?
That day that was the first day we were there to go out and service, and we got in late, but we had to get up at 6:30 and meet in the lobby to get organized to go. We went to the assembly hall, like Arnold explained, and went through all of that. But Deb and I was assigned to a Samoan congregation. And so the meeting for service was in Samoan too, and so they had to interpret it. And then when they attached us to a car group and we went out in the field ministry, that was interesting too. And for their territory, they had a little card that had about 10 houses on it with a GPS number because they were scattered all over the place. And it's just one congregation for the whole island. So 10 houses, they put their little number off here into the GPS. It would tell them where to go to find their person. And we worked through the day. And it was really fun.
That's amazing. And found the Samoan folks there in the island. That's really neat to hear. Well, that's fantastic. Any other highlights you friends from the islands wanted to share? We have another minute or two to enjoy. Both John, please go ahead.
One of the things that really touched my heart is in the evening we had a kind of a welcome meeting up on top of the Coliseum that the branch put on, and when it involved a lot of Polynesian dances to introduce different islands that they were covering and so forth that were invited in. But when they got to the end of the meeting, they had planned on a song and a prayer just like we would have to close a meeting. But for the song, they brought up the kids that were, say, 10 years old down that were in the program up on the stage. And then they invited the kids in the audience 10 years old and down up on the stage. And those kids sang the closing song to us. Listen, obey, and be blessed. You will never forget these little guys singing this song to you at their heart's content. And it was really wonderful.
It'd be a hard thing to get through emotionally.
And I took videos of a lot of it, so if anyone wants to see any of the videos of the Lou Crew, the entertainment we had, I have a lot of videos to share.
For sure, we will. And Armin?
Yeah, my experience was in the field ministry also. My wife and I and another couple was assigned a brother named Andy. And we got in Andy's vehicle. He must have had a bent rim on his tire because we banged all the way into the territory. We get into the territory, it's hard to find the street we were looking for because they all start with A or L. And we finally get into territory, and it's house over house we're working. We're placing the invitation for the convention. And we happened upon a brother that was inactive. And he goes, well, I'm ready for a shepherding call. So he invited the whole group in, and we got to visit with him quite a while. He had a big avocado tree in his backyard, and he had avocados that were 6 pounds.
Oh my.
And we got to eat fresh avocados with him and visit with him. Hopefully we encouraged him. But after working with Andy for just part of that day and then spending the rest of the afternoon with him, I knew Andy was my brother. We had a lot in common, and I'll never forget him.
That's fantastic. Did he like to go fishing on occasion? Did you find out?
He didn't do too much fishing.
You probably had some good stories to tell him about the West Coast. What a blessing. That's fantastic to hear. So we learned a little bit about our friends in the islands. Now we're going to, well, let's see, if we were to keep going, west and west and west, we can talk to the rest of the family up here tonight and hear a little bit about the other convention that we're able to attend. So maybe Michelle could tell us just some simple facts about our other international assignment.
Well, we had the privilege of going to Zimbabwe. Our convention was held in Harare, which is the capital city of Zimbabwe, and that is in South Central Africa. And I might add, it took many, many hours to get there. Yeah, almost 23.
Yeah, tremendous distance. Fantastic. And Zimbabwe, Michelle mentioned South Central Africa. If you were to, let's see, arrive in South Africa, the country of South Africa, on the very tip, the southern tip of Africa, and then you have to then fly north to the interior of Africa, and that's where you have the country of Zimbabwe. And then to the north is the Sahara Desert, as they call it, sub-Saharan Africa. So there's where we ended up landing. So let's see, we'll have our friends relate a few more fun things there. Maybe you could relate some of the nationalities that were there.
The program was held in Ndebele, in Shona, and thank goodness in English, and then also in sign language. And then we met friends from Austria, Germany, South America, and Central America, and of course the States. And it was fun too because we had got to see friends again that we had met from other international conventions, and we met friends that we worked together with in international construction work years and years ago, so that was exciting.
Yeah, it was kind of startling when you see friends you're close to that far away from each other. And what were some numbers? It was a big convention.
So on Friday, the first day of the convention, the Friday afternoon was 66,791. But on Sunday, the peak attendance was over 82,000. And this is amazing because the stadium only held around 60-some thousand. And our day in the ministry was the track campaign, the invitation work. And when I was assigned with the young sister, the little 16-year-old, our first door, I said to her, "Do you have any do not calls?" And she says, "What is that?" I said, "It's where they ask you not to come back." She says, "Well, why is that?" I said, "Well, they don't want to hear about Jehovah." She says, "We do not have that here." And so every time we would go to a door, they would say, "I will be there." And honestly, I was thinking, yeah, right. But they did come. They actually came, and they came so many that there was so many there that the stadium couldn't hold them. They had to be seated on the ground, and then outside the stadium, they also had television monitors, great big monitors. So they actually came, and I was invited, one of our waitresses from the hotel, and she came on Sunday, and she had her kids come both Saturday and Sunday. So it's an incredible experience.
Nice. Very, very good to hear. A lot of people there learning about Jehovah. Well, fun. So maybe we can ask Mom what she remembers a little bit about the hospitality of the Friends in Africa.
I had to write everything down because my memory is not as good as theirs. I do remember how amazingly hospitable everybody was, at Branch in particular. The hospitality that they showed us there. There were over 3,000 delegates, foreign delegates, and they not only prepared for us, but for the convention, and they told us that they had been waiting for us for over a year. So, and then when we arrived at the hotel, where we'd be staying for the convention week, we had brothers and sisters that were there to greet us and help us with questions and everything. And one thing I thought was really amazing was they made cushions for all the delegates. That's over 3,000 cushions because there were concrete benches at the convention site. And they also made little book bags, and they put the tracts in the local language in the book bags, and little souvenirs and postcards, and they were all done in African, a little motif, African design. And so we all had those, and for the special campaign, we were able to meet in service with a local congregation in a place called Snake Park, but there were no snakes. I don't know why they call it that. But anyway, the Kingdom Hall was in the ghetto, and the sister that was assigned to work with me, her name is Jennifer, and she took me by the hand, led me down a dirt road right in front of the Kingdom Hall where we went out in service, right there. And Michelle was talking about that. That was a different story altogether. So we were served a wonderful lunch by our dear sisters there in the little Kingdom Hall. And we were entertained by a children's choir and an adult choir, absolutely beautiful with no musical arrangements, no songbooks. Nobody had a songbook in their hand. And then when we left, they all sang all the way. It always makes me cry thinking about it. But they sang and waved at us. It seemed like forever as we pulled out from the bus. It just took us forever to get out of there. So anyway, we also had a lovely meal with them. And then, last of all, some young people. Well, we had a special arrangement at our hotel, and the branch had sent brothers and sisters, old-time servants, and pioneers, and different ones. It was a large gathering there at our hotel, and we also had dancing and singing. And one thing I really appreciated, the young people danced in local costumes, played drums, really were active, and it really was a cute thing, and it made me realize how balanced our organization is, because they were having a good time, we were having a good time, and how appropriate it is to enjoy yourself at the right time and in a wholesome way.
Good experiences. Thank you for that. Nice. Well, you can ask Sharon, what are some things you'd like to relate?
Well, we had so many amazing experiences. Going back to the Snake Park congregation when we worked with them in the ministry in the ghetto, they had a little program where they gave a few experiences, and a young sister gave her story. She had started studying with Jehovah's Witnesses as a very young teenager. But when her family found out, they told her that if she continued, they would kick her out, that she couldn't be part of the family. And they don't have the provisions there in Africa like we have here. It's a very poor area, but she chose to continue learning about Jehovah, and they did kick her out. So she had to work hard to support herself. The congregation helped her. She continued studying. She was eventually baptized, and then when we met her, of course, she was pioneering. So I thought that was very encouraging. It helps us see that our young ones really can give their heart to Jehovah, and then he blesses their efforts. Another good one, we met an older couple on one of our tours, and we finally got it out of them. They were a beautiful couple, but very humble, very quiet, that they were missionaries from Zambia. And then they gave a part on the convention, so we really heard about their life, but how exciting it was. They'd been in the missionary work for almost 60 years, started very young. So they gave up a family, having a family and a home, to be missionaries, but they were in and out of jail because of the witnessing work. And there they don't provide food for them. So they thought they could break them really quick from witnessing in the villages because of no food, but every time Jehovah provided for them, and brothers and sisters would find out and they'd provide for them. Even one time they didn't have enough money. I forget what it was for. I think it was it for Bill or something.
Yeah.
He just had a couple coins in his pocket, and they needed a certain amount of money to get out. And a man from the village ended up providing the exact amount that they needed. So it was very encouraging. And we could go on and on. There were so many amazing things.
Good to hear. So in general for you friends, do you feel like you were well taken care of, looked after? Definitely. Nice. Well, thank all of you very much.